I'm here with Bobby Hood, and we are talking everything about college planning and how to untangle everything there is to know about, just figuring this thing out. Bobby, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Just excited about the new school year starting and everybody getting their kids off to college who've graduated and getting their kids off to senior year and junior year. And so, yeah, time to start thinking about those activities, either seniors this fall in the application process or people who are juniors. You've got all year to think about it and start working on this stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been watching Facebook today and seeing all the kids going off to, grade school and high school and college. And I'm sure we'll see a lot more of the college stuff coming up. And reading a lot of the blogs about parents and how sad they are, especially for that first kiddo that they're sending off. I remember those days. And, it's like you build this up, you take them, you drop them off, and they're like, get out. And you're kind of going, this is it. I get, an hour of this momentous thing, but they really want you out. So I get it for parents.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's time to, start being an adult. And that's where, I think people are not sure how much to involve their kids in how much college costs, right? Like old school, you kind of think parents just pay for it and don't think about it, but it's a lot more complicated than that, right?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So we started a series about the areas to consider when you're choosing a college, and today what we are talking about is the affordability part. And I'll tell you what, Bobby, it is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, it always floors me the number of digits, in these numbers. It's 6-digit figures to go to college. It can get really crazy, and so it's really intimidating when you first start looking into it because it's so complicated.
It is, but it's really interesting to me is as much as I speak to colleges, getting in, picking majors, all that good stuff. I know parents are looking at the cost, but I don't know if they truly can absorb what the 4, 5, 6 years are going to look like. And I think that we need to really shed some light on when you're going to colleges, what you should be asking and what will affect some of the cost for you. But one little tidbit I wanted to throw out there early for everybody is just to bring some levity to this. So my oldest, with the help from you, getting his SAT scores up, got a 4-year free tuition scholarship to the University of Alabama, right? And everybody was patting us on the back. They're like, yay for you. And it was yay for us. We were so excited about that. We spent, sit down, over $120,000 getting that kid to college. Yes.
Even without paying any tuition. That's
for 4 years. For 4 years. So here's the caveat. He took a victory lap, which means he went a 5th year.
Right.
He took 1 year of summer school. He studied abroad. So that all adds cost. That last year at Alabama, which is out of state for us, cost $47,000 of the 120. Yeah. So the good news is we had that money saved. Yep. However, man, if I could have saved that 47,000, that would have been nice, right?
I tell you what, yeah, absolutely. And so, that's part of it is, I know that's something you help students with is if you go around changing your major multiple times during college, it's not like it used to be. You may suddenly find yourself needing a 5th year. It's very, very common.
Oh, easily.
And so that's why, first thing, make sure that you've done the work and students can work with you and help figure out what their strengths are, which can help them figure out what career they might want to have, which can help them figure out what major they ought to pursue. That can right there save you so much money, right?
It can. And as a caveat, even walking into school, so Chris knew what he wanted to be, right? And after the first year, he realized that he was in engineering, chemical engineering. And he said, Mom, I like the math. I'm good at the math. I don't like all the math. And And I'll tell you what, we acted quickly, Bobby. And I just said, great. you figured out something you don't want to do, let's get to the next thing. We worked through that, but it still did add that extra year onto his schooling. So, it's something I want people to be aware of, that extra time they spend in school. And another fun fact is, I'm the fact girl when it comes to this, 40% of students graduate in 4 years.
Okay. Yeah.
40%.
Only 40%. Wow. Of the graduates. Wow. So it's not just a rare thing. It used to be, it always seemed weird if, somebody took a 5th year, but now, I mean, there are degrees that just take 5 years. I think accounting often is a 5-year degree now. And, so a lot of this is just, that's what's happening. And so you need to plan for that. And so, I mean, when you go and visit colleges, when you're considering colleges, what are the questions that we ought to ask?
I think the biggest one is, how many years does it typically take your students to graduate?
Okay.
Because that is, a fact you need to know.
That's a great starting point.
Yeah. And then, we've also got some other questions you can ask, and that's, what's the average financial aid package?
Okay. Right. And how much financial aid does this school give out? I think, it surprises people that, like, Ivy League schools typically don't give very much merit aid because all their students have super high merit. So it'd be hard to decide who to give a merit scholarship to. But Ivy Leagues often have really strong endowments and use those to give really good financial aid packages to those that qualify under their financial aid calculations. So ask the college what their average package is and look on their website. A lot of colleges have something called a net price calculator, NPC, on their website that can help you figure out exactly what their college would cost and what sort of aid you might qualify for.
Right. And, I think the other thing that we have to think about that too is, and what may give you some insight is, what's the average student loan debt?
Absolutely.
I think the last stat that I saw is in 2018, because that's the most recent data we can look at, is average student loan debt was $27,000.
Okay.
Which, in the whole scheme of things doesn't sound like a lot, but you got to remember, some people are paying everything for their child, right? People are paying, and so you're looking at an average. And if you don't have that money set aside, just know, your student's going to walk out, either you or your student's going to walk out with that debt. And, just, again, it needs to go into the decision-making process when you're looking at schools. And I think that's the time, Bobby, is, don't get your kid all hyped up and excited about a school and then yank it from under him because you can't afford it. So I guess my other point on this is, you need to be having this family discussion early on what you can afford, what your child is going to be on the hook for, so that they can make good educated decisions too, because quite frankly, this is monopoly money to them at this point.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you say, oh, you'll have $50,000 or $20,000 of debt that you're going to have to pay. They don't know what that means. They don't know what monthly payment that would mean. And they don't know how much a monthly payment, what that means anyway. If you said you'd have to pay $300 or $500 a month in student loans, they don't know what that means, right? And
Especially
you've got to have these conversations.
Yes, and especially when you say that's over the next 30 years, and you're like, wow, that's a lot of time. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, I mean, all of this stuff can get super complicated, but here we're just talking about, if you don't know much yet, right? The first questions to ask are, go and look at a couple of schools' financial aid pages. When you're on a tour, ask them about financial aid packages and student loan debt, and ask what kind of loans they provide. And do they, because you've got federal loans and grants that you can get if you qualify based on your income, on your family income. And then there are also other loans that, that, like, the financial aid packages can include loans as well. And so in order to participate in all of that, you have to fill out the federal form called the FAFSA, the Federal Application for Student Financial Aid. And so be aware that you need to fill out that FAFSA form and all of that, even if you feel like you make too much money to qualify for need or whatever for need-based aid, still often you need to fill that form out just to like get into the pool, even for merit scholarships. If you don't complete that form, often the college might assume that you just don't care about aid at all and you want to pay the full ticket price. So if you're planning on asking for any sort of, loans or aid or anything or merit, if you'd like to reduce the cost, you've got to fill that form out and you've got to start talking to the college and looking at their financial aid pages about that.
And you've got to fill that form out every year.
Yes.
Every year, year after year, fill it out. I can't say it enough, right?
Absolutely. And just something to know about, like if, of course, families where the parents aren't together, that gets really complicated to fill that form out because, you may not be in the, best communication style. And then you've got to fill this thing out together where you put your income on there. And also technically it's the student who creates the account. Like the account is in the name of the student but it has all this parent info in there. So either like you're going to have to share your financial information with your student, which a lot of people have not done, or you're going to have to like create an account for them or something and do it. But there are things that the student needs to fill out on there too. It gets a little messy. So be aware of that. And also I've seen many people comment this, when you create your account, make sure you write down that username or password, because a lot of times people start filling it out and then lose their password and those government websites are not so good at restoring passwords. So
right.
You can get yourself locked out for a long time.
Yes, for sure. Hey, one other thing I was going to ask you about, Bobby, is can you speak to if the school is need blind or need aware?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a need blind, this is about admissions, right? So a need blind school will not ask any questions about whether you want financial aid or whether you need financial aid in the admissions process. And so in that case, they are not considering the financial wealth of the family, right? A need-aware school would ask questions, or at least ask, are you going to be requesting financial aid? And generally that means that they are attempting to both admit and provide good financial aid packages for students who need them, right? So if your financial situation will qualify you for need-based aid, then you want to ask and say, are you a need-aware school? Are you paying attention to that? Are you committed to getting a good financial aid package to all your students, right? If you are not concerned about financial aid at all, then a need blind school is perfectly fine,
Okay, good to know. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, guys, as always, if you have any questions about this type of information, please reach out to Bobby or I. You always are seeing our website information, which you can get in touch with both of us through those. Reach out. If we don't know, we will get somebody for you that you can talk to.
Absolutely. We've got a great network of people who know answers to all these things. And I am a certified college admissions counselor. So always happy to talk about these things. And yeah, it's a long road. And so it's good to have someone that you can ask questions of along the way. That's for sure.
Yes. And if you are interested in seeing my very detailed documentation on how I spent over $120,000 on Chris's education, please reach out to me. I would be very happy to show you on Zoom so that you can really see reality of what this stuff costs.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I think it's such a mysterious process, it seems like. And so actually seeing the numbers in black and white and how it actually works, I think it really probably surprised a lot of people to hear, you can get a full tuition scholarship and still end up paying $120,000. That's just,
it surprised the heck out of me. Yeah. I can tell you that.
Absolutely. Well, this is great. So next week we're going to keep talking about the things to consider when choosing a school. So keep up each week. We'll see you next Wednesday and continue on this topic.
Okay. Thanks, Bobby.
All right. Bye-bye.